Hi guys, I'm Bree.
And I'm Allie, and this is Offscript.
If you think about it, books are potential scripts for movies.
When this adaptation happens, typically it's disappointing because they went off script.
In this series, we will be talking about how off script they went.
All right, you guys.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to Offscript,
The podcast
where we compare books and movies.
for you.
I'm Allie,
And I'm Bree.
and we are your hosts.
For the day.
Yes.
I was going to say for the evening because we're in the evening, but I don't know what time of day it is for you.
That's my joke. I say it all the time.
I know. It's true.
All right, you guys. We're finally breaking down part one.
I don't want to be here, but I'm also excited to be here.
Gosh,
It's
this is a
horrible
good one.
feeling. It's a horrible feeling.
But it was
It's a
so
really good one.
good.
It was. This is going to be a super quick episode, I actually think.
I think so too. 4 hours later.
Yeah, I was just going to say. And then, did you see Rob?
Oh gosh. All right. So,
But guys, I only have 2.25 pages of notes.
woohoo, look at us go.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but first we're going to paint you a picture.
Yeah.
We've already painted it on a couple mini-sodes,
Mini-sodes.
but we are recording this episode in Forks.
Yeah.
We are where Edward is. We're in Edward's house.
Hell yeah, where you at, boy?
We are. We are in the Miller
If
Inn.
I'm not here in the morning, you'll know why. It's fine. Don't look for me.
A vampire took her. And
Yep.
she's just...
And I'm in heaven. Gladly.
You're probably writhing in pain because he probably bit you.
Hey, if he bit me that quick, obviously I'm better than Bella.
Oh, gosh. But anyways,
Took him 2 years to bite her.
yes, it did. And he technically didn't even bite her, which we'll find out how she got turned in this episode.
I was going to say that, but I didn't.
Okay,
See,
so
so he bit me. We're good.
there you go.
See, 4 hours later, we're just going to be talking about this.
Goodness me, I'm trying to say this for the last 5 minutes. We're at the Miller Inn, which is labeled as the Cullen House in Twilight because it most accurate
In Twilight?
in Forks because it most accurately
Depicts
what the book says. So all of the
film locations.
film locations are in Oregon. So one day maybe.
Except for Calumet High School, which is in Washington, just way south.
Oh, but we're gonna go to all the book spots.
Locations, yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we are going to release a YouTube video,
TikTok.
all of this at the end. Oh, which is next week to these guys. So after part 2 comes out, we
My
will
heart
be
is
doing
breaking.
releasing all this stuff. So
Okay, so we're restarting Twilight.
great. Stay tuned, guys. No. So we have to be kind of quiet. So if it sounds like we're quiet, it's because it's super late and we're at an Airbnb.
We're at an Airbnb.
Or B&B. That's why they came up with the air part. I don't know, you guys. Okay. All right, anyways. But yeah, it's late and the walls are kind of thin. So we're going to try not to be super
Too
loud.
loud.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So our synopsis is Bella and Edward partake in a beautiful wedding and sail off onto their honeymoon where a surprise pregnancy interrupts the newly married couple's trip.
I'd be pissed.
Jacob leaves Sam's pack.
Poor Bella.
What?
Getting some finally and then gets pregnant right off the
Poor
bat.
Bella. Jacob leaves Sam's pack when the werewolves close in on the expecting parents whose unborn child poses a threat to the wolf pack in the town. I should have wrote the unborn child doesn't pose a threat. The wolves think the unborn child poses a threat to the wolf pack and the town's people of Forks. Is that what it says? Jacob leaves Sam's pack when the werewolves close in on the expecting parents whose unborn child. No, it makes it sound like
It makes it sound like that kid is really posing a threat.
the wolves think it's posing a threat.
Yeah. Spoiler.
I mean, okay. So anyways, here we go. Author, Stephanie Meyer. Director, Bill Condon.
Love you. Thank
And
you.
Screenplay writer, Melissa Rosenberg.
Good job. Good job, girl. I'm actually really glad that they kept the screenplay writer for the whole series.
Because it had the same feel, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
The directors kind of tweaked it a bit, but overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. The book came out August 2nd, 2008, and the movie November 18th, 2011. 3-year difference. They've all been 3-year differences.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, which did you read or watch first?
I read
this one first too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I did. Mm-hmm. Knew nothing that was happening. I mean, I knew knew she got pregnant.
Yeah.
I knew all the big things.
Yeah.
But I didn't know.
Yeah.
The in-betweens.
Yeah.
All right. What are your initial thoughts? First time ever reading it. What did you think?
I was so happy reading the whole book for the first time. It's one of my favorites. It's my second favorite of the series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was my favorite.
I just love, Edward really gets to be himself in this book. Mm-hmm. And he gets to be super happy when they're first married. And, Bella finally gets what she wants. So she's not like, Edward, change me. It's just all so good.
I do. I like it. And it's the first one where none of the characters pissed me off. They were all good characters. Mm-hmm. And so I enjoyed it a lot.
Which is really funny because isn't this your mom's least favorite book?
I don't know. Is that what she said?
Yeah.
That's funny. No, this is my favorite.
Because she doesn't like...
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
She doesn't understand the whole imprinting thing.
Yeah.
She just needs to reread it. Or listen to our podcast. Mom, we explain it pretty good.
Go reread it. It's Allie's favorite.
It is. It's my favorite.
Give it a chance. It's my second favorite.
All right. So why do we pick this one?
Because Twilight.
The fourth one. Yep.
It's just too good. How could we not do it?
I know. Oh, you guys. What if we did? What if we were like, nah. We just won't do the last
skip this one.
All right, you guys, you ready?
I know. So my dad keeps making us backgrounds for the computer. He's like, what one are you doing next? I'll be like, Eclipse, Breaking Dawn Part 2. And he's like, isn't that dumb? Shouldn't you not do all of this? I'm like, no, we gotta keep all the series together.
We have to. Then people can just skip a series if they don't want it.
Yeah.
But don't skip us. We're so funny. All right.
Plus, if you're skipping this one,
what's wrong with you?
Yeah, how dare you? This is the best series that we're doing.
Okay, well, that's debatable.
It's not debatable.
All right. Well, are we ready for Allie's super fun facts?
Yes.
Okay. So Kristen Stewart said Taylor Lautner was in tears when the cast watched the unfinished cut. Oh, I know. I thought that was so sweet. What?
I'm gonna cry.
She is. She's taking her glasses off. Guys, to cry right now.
Keep going.
Okay. I thought this one was funny, actually. Robert Pattinson went... I just say his name and you think
I know.
laughing?
No, because I was like... When I was drinking it, I was like, what would make me laugh? And I was like, I bet you it's something about Rob.
He went through a strict diet and exercise regime for 6 months in preparation before the film. He stopped his routine right after the much talked about sex scene. He's like, all right, not naked on screen anymore.
I love him.
Oh my gosh.
He's just such a person.
I know.
Like most other actors would be like, yeah, and then I just kept up with it.
Yeah.
He's like, nah, screw it.
that. All right.
Had to look good for
That one scene. All right. Okay. On the third day of filming in Brazil, the cast and crew got stranded overnight on the island they used for Isle Esme due to a severe rainstorm. The crew had to cover all the furniture and props in the house with tarps to prevent water damage due to the rain and people having wet clothes. Isn't that crazy?
That's insane.
That sucks.
Oh, no.
Like they're on this like tropical island. It's like,
yes, we're here in Brazil. No. This sucks.
Okay, I got a couple more. So I thought this one was actually kind of fun. Director Bill Condon specifies that Bella's walk down the aisle during the wedding scene was shot through her point of view, giving it the longer time frame. He thought that the walk would feel long to Bella, so he incorporated that into the film so the audience could feel what she was feeling.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. I love him.
Okay, so Stephanie Meyer, the reason she has the red pawn and white queen is to resemble Edward and Bella.
Is she calling Edward a pawn?
I guess so.
Hold on. What?
Okay, it says the whole thing is at Esme Island, Bella's chess pieces while she's playing are colored, foreshadowing her character's transition toward the start of the Twilight Saga, the next one, Breaking Dawn Part 2. The transition was also related by Stephanie Meyer in regards to the theme of the books covered. Oh no, so it's not Edward and Bella, it's
her transition.
She's a red pawn, and then she transitions into a white queen.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
I thought that was cool. Okay, in the books, Edward's hunting... Oh, you like this? Edward's time hunting humans is revealed much earlier, as we talked about in Twilight.
Mm-hmm.
And so in this one, he gets his backstory.
Mm-hmm.
It was Robert Pattinson who approached the director about including the arc in the film. Bree just fainted. She melted into the couch.
We love him.
I know, because when we were watching this, we were like,
I wonder why.
Who told them to do that?
I bet that was Bill's idea.
Yeah. It was Rob's idea.
I love him.
Okay, 2 more. The movie Edward is watching in the theater is The Bride of Frankenstein, which he relates to Bella and Edward. Like he sees himself as a monster to her.
Aww.
I know. Okay, last one. This one's just funny. In one of the chess scenes, Edward knocks over Bella's chess piece and he puts his chess piece in the wrong spot.
Rob. I know exactly which scene.
Do you really?
It's when he knocks it and he like does the little flourish too and like,
Oh, and he puts it in the wrong spot. That's so funny. Well, he did it in the wrong spot.
oh, Rob.
All right, you guys. That was it. Are we ready?
Those were good ones.
I thought that was fun, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, we ready?
I love him. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. So, book starts off, Bella knowing she knows how to fight a killer that she hates, but she doesn't know how to fight someone who she loves, even though they are killing her. And I'm like, what is happening?
I know. When I read it this time, knowing that you were going to be reading it, I was like, oh, I bet she's going to be like, what?
Did you know? I actually don't think I think I had an inkling, but I wasn't like, oh,
yeah,
I know what it is.
Yeah.
Because remember, I had said to you, that's how I thought.
Yeah, that's true.
And so that was my guess. But okay, so let's jump in.
Yeah.
So Bella is driving this brand new car around because Edward got her a brand new car because for some reason, all of a sudden, her truck stops working. Oh, so random. And so she finds out that this truck isn't even sold in the U.S. and it's really only sold to high priority people because it's freaking missile proof. And she's just like, oh my gosh. And on her way home, she sees all these missing posters of Jacob because, as we remember in the last movie or last book, Jacob, runs off once he sees the wedding invitation. And Charlie is the one who wanted to put all the posters up, and Billy and Bella, knowing that Jacob's just phased somewhere, wouldn't help him, and he was so mad at them. I thought that was so sweet. Charlie's like, what the heck is wrong with you people? This person is, our friend is missing.
Your son.
Yes. And so Bella calls Seth. She calls him regularly to try and find updates on Jacob.
Yeah.
And
I love Seth.
Yeah. He doesn't have them, but we find out that Seth got invited to the wedding. So that's exciting. And then Bella's remembering how her and Edward told their parents about, or her parents about their engagement.
Yeah.
And how Charlie at first was like,
livid.
Yeah, he was livid. He's like, well, first he thought they were going to say they were pregnant.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh my gosh, no. And then he was angry, but then he just starts laughing because he's like, you have to tell your mom, who, as we've heard throughout this whole book, that Renee hates marriage before 30. But freaking Renee's like,
all for it.
She's like, oh, I thought
She's
you
like,
guys
I
were
knew it.
basically engaged when you came to visit me in Florida.
I thought you were going to tell me then.
Yeah. And so,
Which is hilarious because what that means is when she's sitting there like, it seems like you guys have a secret.
that's
not-
probably what it is. That's hilarious.
It's not that she's like, I think you're hiding something big. Like,
Yeah,
vampire. She's just probably like, are you getting married?
exactly. That's funny.
Can you tell me?
And so then Charlie is getting fitted for his tux, and Bella's getting fitted for her dress. And all she could think about was how excited she was to sleep with Edward. Like,
Same.
that's all she could.
That's what I was
She's
thinking
like,
about.
just got to get through this wedding.
Well, could
and
you
then I can
imagine
have sex with Edward?
if you didn't want to get married, but you had to?
I mean, yeah, fair.
Same.
Oh, gosh. All right. And how's the movie go about it?
So first, the movie starts with the Vulture getting their wedding invite because that's the family's way of being like, guess what? She's going to be a vampire soon. So we see them getting their invitation. So then after the Vulture scene, we get the scene where in Eclipse in the book, it ends with where Jacob gets the wedding invite and runs off. So now Jacob has gotten the wedding invite and he's run off. But I'm sad because he didn't get a note from Edward, or at least we don't see it in the movie.
Yeah, I was sad about that too.
And then my next note is I love the soundtrack.
Brie and her soundtracks.
These soundtracks are so good, though. I love the Twilight soundtracks. So then, sorry, my notes are very sparse with this one, so I have to like remember.
Because they did so good.
They really did, honestly. I have no qualms. We didn't have the whole car scene, or we didn't get, I am bummed that we didn't see her telling her parents about the engagement, but you do get them seeing the invites and Charlie being like, ugh, and Renee being like, Phil.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to, you see wedding shoes scraping on the floor, and it's Bella trying out her shoes. And I think it's funny because next time you watch it now, look, because I think Kristen had done something to her wrist. She sprained it or something. And you can see that she's wearing a black brace on her
really?
hand. Yeah.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah. And then she looks up and stares at Rob. And I would too, girl. I would too. Except for, okay, so I had to say something really funny. I've been wanting to say for a while and I didn't know when to put it in. So with how much I love Rob, I've always thought that anytime I would be in his presence, I would freak out. I'm like,
Yeah.
hardcore fangirl. Every time I've been in Rob's presence, I go silent. I don't do anything.
How many times have you been in his presence?
Twice.
Okay.
So the first time was at the Breaking Dawn thing. I thought my silence was me pissed that I was far away from him.
Yeah.
Because Amy took a video of me because she thought that I would be freaking out when I got my shirt back signed. And she was like, Brie, can I see it? And I was like, yeah. And I like face it towards her. And she's like, whose is it? And I just like go. I'm like, Rob's? but in the moment I was like, oh, I'm just so upset. But then when I went to the Rover red carpet premiere, I was like, this is going to be my chance. I'm going to fix it. I brought my Little Ashes DVD because I wanted him to know that I was a hardcore super fan.
I'm going to bring a movie that's not even the movie we're here for.
Exactly. The movie we're here for, a well-known movie. It's one of your like first films you ever did. Like, I'm a fan. And I had waited probably 12 hours for this red carpet for the Rover. And I was right up on the bar. And my tried and true when I'm on the bar, if I have my phone out, I'm taking pictures of the person, even if they're not with me, just because they're right in front of me.
Right.
So like, duh. So Rob comes up and he comes straight to our section first. And like, I hear my friend who's with me talking to him like, I'm a huge fan. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm just sitting there like, and I have my phone out like this and I'm just like,
Doing nothing.
so then he walks away and then I realize I'm like, because because my friend, she had asked for a picture. She didn't want a signature from him. She went for the picture because she knew when he got bigger because of Twilight, it's harder for him to do both.
Yeah.
Because he wants to get to everyone.
Right.
So she was like, you kind of have to pick and choose, and I already have his signature, so I'm going to go for the photo.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to try for both. I'm lucky I got the signature. But also, my favorite part of when he saw the Little Ashes DVD, he giggled when he saw it. Yeah, he like went, huh? And I was like, oh. Yeah, it made my day. And like one of the stupid paparazzi things on YouTube or whatever actually got him, like, you can't see me, but I know because I see my DVD case go out and I see him sign, and he kind of stops and like goes, and you see his smile. I'm like, he was signing my movie.
That's so cool.
But he walks away from me, and I realize, I was like, you didn't even like pretend to get a selfie, like, because also in the moment, sometimes I'm smart and will move myself so that I can take a picture
they're right behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't even do that. And I was like, dude, you just screwed that up. And then I like tried, and he was too far away. So then I like ran down the line to try and you can see in the selfie the desperation in my eyes because I'm
yes,
like,
I have seen that picture.
Up so bad. So
funny.
For how much I sit here and talk about how much I love Rob and how I would jump his bones, I would not jump his bones, guys. I would actually
just stand there in awe.
Yeah.
That's how I am with, like, I feel like all celebrities, I would be like, I don't know how to talk to you. Your life is cooler than mine.
It's only Rob. And I think it's because I truly love him.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm sorry. He is engaged, right?
No. That engagement was broken off forever ago.
Oh, but they're still together?
No, it's a different girl now. But they've been together for 5 years.
Okay, so they're together for a very long time. And pretty much engaged.
Hey, that's how long he was with the other chick.
Look at you hoping for his, like, sadness.
I want to be his happiness.
Well,
and I can't even talk to him.
Exactly. Not going to go very well.
Could you imagine our dinners? Wait, is this where you want me to tell my Ouija board story?
Yes, what happened there? Oh, I think you told me.
Yeah, I did. And you're like, these are the stories you need on the podcast.
Yes. Say it.
So at NAU is surrounded by cemeteries, first off, and it's super haunted. Okay, there's a girls' dormitory where girls would go into the bathroom and get locked into stalls.
What?
And not able to come out. Yeah,
that's so spooky.
Yeah, there's tons. And so my freshman dorm, McConnell, was one of the super, like, there is a dorm room that's cemented shut because a girl killed herself there because her boyfriend like went off to war and like he died, didn't come back, something. Yeah. So they cemented her door shut. And that was Amy's next door neighbor. And she would hear scratching on the wall.
I would freaking
from
leave.
That dorm.
I would leave.
Yeah. So one night, me and my roommate, we went and got a Ouija board.
Why would you do that? Why would you test the spirit world like that? Ouija boards are like a no-go.
Girl, this was before I knew just how scary Ouija boards can be.
Oh, so scary.
Like, I didn't even look into like proper etiquette with Ouija boards.
Okay.
Which is horrible.
Yeah.
Because like you're supposed to open a window and like light candles and all this. Yeah. The window is so the spirit can come in and go out and doesn't get stuck in your room.
Oh my gosh.
We did none of that. At least I knew to say goodbye to it. I also almost think that I only said goodbye because I felt rude not saying
goodbye.
So me and my roommate were playing with it. And thankfully too, because when we were doing it, it was just the funnest time. It felt so like we were having the best time. And then because Amy got mad at us. She was like, why did you do that?
I'm with her.
We were like, why? It was harmless fun. Like, what? And she then, like, I can't remember what she said, but it made me look into it. And I was like, wow, there's so much that could have gone wrong. But the first thing it says is if you, like, felt lighthearted and, like, you were having a good time, typically that means you had a good spirit with you. I was like, thank goodness.
Yeah.
But I kept thinking that Jessica was pushing it, and she kept thinking that I was pushing it. And I thought this because I asked if I was going to marry Robert Pattinson. And the Ouija board told me yes.
It's your spirit, like, family being like, oh, she just needs this answer right now.
Right. She's having a hard time in college. It's rough being a freshman. Yes. So I thought Jessica was just trying to appease me, and she thought that I was just trying to appease myself.
Yes. That's so funny.
Yeah, so
Oh, my
we
word.
did that.
That's awesome.
But Ouija board, hate to tell you, but if that were true, I would not be able to talk to him.
That's awesome. Okay. So we're going to keep going. So now we're back to the book, and Edward's hanging out, and they're asking each other. Like, they're hanging out at Bella's house, and they're asking each other, like, oh, how are your feet? Are they cold? Every line I say, Bree's like, oh, so beautiful.
No, this is going to make me cry.
Oh, my gosh.
Because, no, I just realized I'm keeping my eyes closed so I don't cry.
Oh, my gosh.
So, like, obviously I knew that Rob had read the books
Uh-huh.
and was a fan of them. But, like, the fact that he, like, the fact that he wanted his backstory.
Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Fun fact. All right.
I know, you should have told me after.
I know.
I'm
Anyway.
never going to be able to watch the movie without crying.
Okay. So, Jasper and Emmett come, and they're like, come on, we know you can't leave her, but you have to, because it's basically Edward's bachelor party.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when he leaves, Bella keeps thinking about the wedding and how she's, like, super nervous, and she's going to be in the same room as the Denali vampires who, as we learned, had a crush on Edward. And
You
she's
would
like,
have said Rob.
I don't know what I almost said, but it wasn't wrong. But she's like, they're so beautiful. And so
All vampires are. Dumbass.
then, yeah. Okay. So we get some backstory on the Denali vampires, and we learn that there's this rule that you cannot bite kids, because when kids are bit, they stay at that mental age, right? So if you bite a 2-year-old, you're going to have a demon 2-year-old running around.
Could you imagine Tyler?
Gosh, if having a 3-year-old for the rest of my life would be the worst thing known to man. Why would anyone do that? So that's just a general rule, because they can't control themselves. They're gonna
Some vampire like Rosalie wants a kid. What's she gonna do? She gonna go.
get a kid, and then the whole vampire race is exposed because this kid goes out murdering a bunch of people.
Yes.
So it's a no-go. So basically, the Denali vampire's mom did this, right?
Mm-hmm.
She did this.
Mm-hmm.
Like a bunch
She
of
did
kids. A bunch of kids. And wasn't it a bunch?
Just one.
Just one?
Yeah.
Was there another story that had a bunch of kids? Didn't it talk about a bunch of kids once? I thought there was like
No.
an army of children.
What the fuck book were you reading?
No. Maybe I'm mixing up
Hold
Eclipse.
this, please. That's what I'm thinking.
I
I'm
think
like,
Crash boom bang. I don't know. If you know I'm crazy, then I'm just gonna keep going. So the Denali vampire's mom bit a kid, and the Volturi come in and be like, no, you can't do that. And they murdered her, and then the kid, and then the other Denali's got...
Tanya's mother created such a child. It's just because
I know, but right before that, does it explain
it explains that people were doing it.
people were doing it? Okay, so
Yeah.
it was a thing.
Yeah, it was a thing, but it was a thing that the Volturi were getting after people for.
Okay, that's where I got mixed up at.
Yeah.
Okay, so she created one, and then Volturi came and destroyed her and the kid, and but the siblings, or the kid, the Tanya and
The Denali siblings.
yeah, they were all spared because they had no idea what was going on. And so,
Yeah, and they knew that nothing or Aro touched them. So then,
oh yeah, so they saw the truth.
yeah,
And
but they really didn't know what was going on.
yeah, and Bella had a nightmare this 2-year-old was
Why
like,
doesn't she?
I know, was
No
standing.
wonder she wants to be a vampire.
Right. She never dreams again.
Mm-hmm.
This 2-year-old standing over all the bodies of everyone she's ever loved, and she like wakes up terrified. Oh my gosh.
So this is where the backstory goes into play.
That happened in Twilight.
Yeah. But because of Rob, it happens now.
Instead of not at all.
What's funny is I needed to also retract. So Rob is my Edward in Breaking Dawn. Like, that's as close to Edward as he can get.
Okay.
Now,
Oh gosh.
yeah, so I do think it can't be just the writers because Melissa wrote Twilight and New Moon and Eclipse.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Director? I don't know. But this is the closest he gets to my picture of Edward. So then you see Edward's backstory and you see him kill all the bad guys.
I know, I liked how they did it because it made it look like he was going after
The girl.
but
Yeah.
it turns out he was killing the...
The men who were going after the girl.
Yes.
Yeah, they did good.
Mm-hmm.
And then we basically get everything that Allie said, except for I think it's funny because before he's telling her the backstory, he's like, there's something I need to tell you that I never told you. And she goes, what? Are you not a virgin?
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah. Did they go into the backstory about the Denali's?
No.
No, they did not.
Oh, that was the other difference. Yes, no. No, that does not get brought up at all.
Kind of key, but okay.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Alice takes Bella back to their house, and Bella is freaking out. But then her mom comes and gets there and calms her down. And her mom gives her something old and blue, which was the hair piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Alice gives her borrowed, which is her garter, and her dress is new. And Bella's about to go down the aisle, and the wedding's just so pretty. It really was. It was a really beautiful wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And then the couple couldn't stop kissing. Edward and Bella just were like, Edward had to stop because she just was like making out with him in front of everybody.
Because she felt like it was just them.
Yep. Which is how it should feel on your wedding day.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't get Alice bringing Bella to the Colons. Bella is there and Alice is getting her ready, but all of this does happen. And the wedding is beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, just kidding. The dream. We gotta go back to the dream.
Oh, yeah, that's different.
The dream is different.
Yes. She was too focused on Edward's backstory.
Like I've already said, I'm never going to be able to watch the movie the same ever again.
I'm glad I changed it for you.
I'm never going to be able to watch any of them the same.
You need to just go on IMDb and read all the facts about all of them.
Shit, I should. God, I'm missing some good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the dream is not about a 2-year-old. The dream is Bella coming down the aisle. And I remember when I first saw this and I was like, whoa, they're just cutting right to this wedding and they're not even giving me any preparation. I was like, whoa, there's way too much wrong with this already. It's like, this is not how the wedding's supposed to be.
Give me my perfect wedding.
Yes. And then Bella gets to Edward and everyone's dressed in white. And then she turns and it's a Volturi standing there. And then she turns again. And her and Edward, it's cool because it makes a wedding cake with them standing on it as the man and the wife. But it's the cake that they're standing on is all of Bella's friends and family dead with blood because Edward's a vampire. And he just drank their blood.
Was that what it was supposed to be?
I think I think it was supposed to be Edward drinking blood and I like, oh, this is what I could be.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I can see that.
But because Edward is the one who just told the story of him doing that.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So then the wedding happens and it's beautiful. And you see your dress. And the main difference here is in the book, the wedding happened in the Cullen house. And then the reception happened outside once the sun set. But in the movie, everything happened outside.
In the sun.
Yep. And I'll just say that the flowers maybe create enough cover and shade for it. But also, one of my favorite things is that Stephanie Meyer is at the wedding. So is Wick Godfrey, who produced the movie.
Yep.
Actually, they had all cast and crew on set.
As the guest.
And has the guests. Yeah.
Cute.
Yeah. So it was like basically anyone and everyone who had worked on these movies for forever. And Breaking Dawn Part 1 and 2 got filmed together. And if I'm not correct, this was one of the later things.
It was the last scene, I think.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I read that it was heavily security.
It was. Like,
there were tarps everywhere so no one could see. And yeah.
I remember when promotional photos were coming out, they got a bunch of them in Brazil, but nothing of them. Like, it was all them in the streets, which was making people mad because everyone was like, what is this? And then them in the water. And then that was it.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. But I think they also tried to post pictures of the tarps from the wedding.
Of course they did.
Yeah.
Like, they're filming down there.
Wedding. Yeah.
Okay.
I love it.
I know. It was really pretty.
And just Rob looked so happy.
He did.
He
Looked like a guy who's going to get married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll marry you.
Okay.
So I'll be silent. Bree, do you take?
Say I do. Come on, Bree. Say I do. All right. So it's now the wedding reception. She's getting all these hugs, and all of a sudden she gets a really hot one. And it turns out it's Seth. Well, the way they described it, you're like, oh, it's going to be Jacob. But no, then it's like, oh, it's Seth. Which that's fine, because Seth was really cute there. He stood in it as her best man.
Yeah.
I thought it was cute.
Seth is the best.
He's such a cutie. I liked him a lot.
He's the best.
And so all the normal wedding stuff happens, which like they eat cake, which Edward did really good at hiding, and they did the dances and everything like this. And so then Edward says he has a wedding gift for her and leads her away.
Aww.
And it turns out it's Jacob. He came. He's like, sorry, I'm late. And Edward's like, I'm going to go dance with Rosalie. And so Jacob and Bella got to dance together, and it was all really calm and friendly, like at first. Like it was just like a, thank goodness you're back. You know, my wedding's perfect now type of thing. And it almost seemed like now that Bella was married, Jacob wasn't pushing for her as much. So he was just, he's you know, it was obvious he was bummed about it still, but he wasn't like trying to kiss her at her own wedding, which was, thank you.
But he was going to get mad about the fact that she wanted to get laid.
I'm getting there. He made a comment about her getting changed tonight being something like, you know.
He asked if it was her last night.
Yeah. And she says, no, because I want to enjoy my honeymoon. And he's like, well, why? You can't do anything. And then he clicked.
Which also, I'm like, dude, why is this your business, and why are you trying to talk to her about this? Like,
okay, as a best friend, I could see it.
As a best guy friend?
Well, it depends how close you are.
As a best guy friend who has been kissing on her all last book?
Well, this is why she gets upset.
Yeah, that's true.
So he's like, he freaks out. He's like, he's going to kill you. You can't do this. And, you know, he grabs Bella and like almost shakes her, like, do not do this. And of course, Edward's lightning fast and comes back.
Yeah,
and he's
is.
right there. And Seth, Sam, and another werewolf, I don't remember who, pull him away.
Paul
Pulls Jacob away. And Bella's super pissed, but Edward's like, he's right. And I was like, I mean, he was. She freaking dies. Spoiler alert.
Not because of the sex.
Yes, huh?
Because of the aftermath of the sex. But it's not like she
It's
died.
like-
It's
like
not like
Mean
she
Girls.
died in the bed.
It's Mean Girls. Don't have sex because you
You'll
die.
get pregnant and you die.
Exactly.
They just watched Breaking Dawn.
Yes. Get pregnant and you die. Oh my gosh. I'm just saying. He's not wrong. So the wedding comes to a close, and I don't remember what Edward and Bella were just like making out again. And Alice is like, you need to go. You're going to miss your flight. And then she's like threatening, fine, I'm going to tell Bella where it is. And Edward's like, okay, we'll go. And so they go and they do the heartfelt goodbye to her mom and dad because she thinks this is the last time she's going to see him because she's going to get bit and she's not going to be able to see him for years. And on their way out, they hear a really sad howl because Jacob thinks she's going to die too. How would that go in the movie, Brie?
So in the movie, we now get to meet the Denali's. And so we meet Tanya, Kate, Carmen, Elizur.
Oh, yeah, that happened in the book.
And
too.
Irina. Yes, it did. But this is where we get the conversation that's missing from Eclipse. Because now we find out that Irina was kind of Laurent's mate.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's mad about the werewolves being there. And so they kind of get upset and get into a heated thing. And she's like, I don't want to even be here. They let one of them be here as she's staring at Sith. And then Rob gets a funny line where he says, what's a wedding without a little family drama? I love that line.
Super funny.
But it's true, right?
I know it really is.
As someone who's been married.
Yep.
And then we get one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. We go through some wedding speeches.
Yes.
I love Emmett's.
They were all so funny.
I also love Charlie's.
I know. I have a gun.
I'm a cop. I know things. Like how to hunt a man down. And I have a gun.
Yep. It was so cute.
Yeah. But then everything else happens how it happens in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, Bill.
Yep. So
they even hear the howl.
They do.
They even
That
put the
was
howl
sad.
in the score. And I love
Really?
that. Yeah, it's in the score.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually cool.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't it just make you sad?
No.
I'd be so sad every time I hear it.
No. I'm Team Edward, damn it.
I know.
I don't get sad over him crying.
He thinks his friend's gonna die.
It ain't his business. If she wants to die having sex, let her die having sex.
Oh no. All right. Anyways, you guys. They get on a plane and they go to Rio de Janeiro. And then they hop on a boat and go to an island called Isle Esme, which is an island Carlisle bought for Esme because why not?
Where the hell are these men who buy people islands? I want one.
Seriously. And like they're just rich because Carlisle's a doctor.
He's a doctor who's been a doctor for 300 plus years.
And they don't need to buy food.
Yeah. Yeah. And I bet they just buy their houses outright.
Probably. Man. Must be nice. So anyways.
See? Team Edward.
Sure.
Jacob is broke. He runs around without clothes.
Oh, you wish Edward ran around without clothes on.
Oh, fuck yeah, I do. Get naked raw.
Oh my gosh. So they get there, they get to the island, and Bella's super nervous. So Edward asks if she wants to go for a swim. She's like, yeah, I just, want to freshen up for a bit.
I love that Edward thought like so far ahead, knowing like, okay, this is our plan, so I should probably take her somewhere that's super, super hot so that my cold body doesn't freeze her.
Yes,
I'm
that
like,
was sweet.
You're
I
good,
did like
dude.
that.
You're too good.
And so she takes a shower and she's like having a panic attack
Yep.
because she's like, oh my gosh. Not even.
What did I just sign up for?
Yes. But then she ends up going out into the water with Edward. And that's where it leaves us. We wake up the next morning.
We wake up. Do you know how many times I flipped back and forth between the pages? I was like, what?
Literally, it's insinuated that it happens, and then she wakes up very happy. But that's not what we got in the movie.
No, the movie does me good. Oh. that might change things.
What?
Nothing.
Okay. Oh,
So-
for what's your favorite?
I've been so like back and forth with it, and then today I was like, no, I know. But now I'm like,
Do you know?
I don't. Okay. What all just happened? Did we talk about sexing?
That's pretty much it. They won't. They go to their trip to their honeymoon.
Oh, their trip to their honeymoon. So that happens, and we actually see them like get out of their cab in Rio de Janeiro and walk through the I said aisles. Walk through the streets, and I think it's just cute because like everyone in the street is like in love and they're kissing who they're with. So then Edward stops her and kisses her too, and it's just so cute. And then I said that like Stitch.
So cute.
And then a great like montage scene happens with Bella getting ready before she goes out too, and one of my favorite songs is played right here. And I also just love this one just does so good at putting in little things from the book where it's not like explained to you, but if you've read the book you're like, yes. Because I love, one of my favorite things is when she's going through the lingerie that Alice has packed for her. Because in the book I love after everything and she's trying to convince Edward to do it again, and she's like, this is embarrassing that Alice has seen all of this.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Yes, exactly.
So
Then the sex scene comes.
oh yeah, that's exactly where I was.
Yes.
So then the sex scene comes in. It's fantastic. We get the headboard breaking. We get, we don't see the pillows getting bitten. I wish we did. That would have been great.
Sure.
But no, we get a sex scene.
Check. Yes, we do.
I'm not about to describe it.
No, we're not. So, next day, Bella wakes up and she's like insanely happy. Like, she's just like, oh my gosh, that was the best thing ever. And she doesn't understand why Edward looks so upset. She's like, what's wrong? And turns out Bella had bruises. Yes. Bella had bruises all over her. And
She looked like she was beat
up.
to a pulp.
And she doesn't remember this at all, apparently. It was that mind-blowing. I don't know. I think I would have noticed. I would have been like, ow, that hurts a little bit. If you're grabbing me so tight.
Maybe she's into that. Obviously she is.
She must be into that. All right. Sorry, Bella. Sorry to judge. Sorry. That's your sex life.
Yeah, stop being Jacob.
I know. All right. So it turns out the pillows, there are feathers everywhere because he's like, I had to bite the pillow, so I didn't bite.
Well, could you imagine? Because our blood smells different, like with different things going on. So I bet you in the moment it probably smells even better than it already does.
Probably.
So that was probably a gut reaction to bite her.
Oh, probably.
But he
did the
luckily
pillows.
stopped himself.
So he admitted he spoke to Carlisle and Emmett and Jasper. So what should I expect with sex? And so,
Little virgin.
yes, I thought that was so cute. But he's like, we are not doing that again until you're changed because that was just too scary.
Too scary. That
That's
was
too
too
scary.
dangerous.
And so Edward's making them do all sorts of things. Like they're going backpacking and they're going hiking and rock climbing and jumping into a waterfall,
and
snorkeling,
swimming with dolphins.
all sorts of stuff to keep her distracted and not try and sleep with him again.
And she's like, let's just watch a movie at home. And he's like, nope.
Let's go do something.
We gotta go do stuff.
Which they think is working because she's getting extra tired. She's getting extra hungry.
She is.
Hungry from all of this working out, and she's having the most wild dreams ever. Vivid dreams. Weird. Wonder why.
No idea. Even someone, like, when I read this in high school, And I didn't know much about being pregnant. I was like, I bet she's pregnant.
Yeah. So, Bella decides she's going to try again. She's like, screw all this. She puts on this skimpy black lingerie and she seduces Edward. But it didn't work at all. He's like, no. And she's like, she gets so angry. She falls asleep and she wakes up crying. He's like, why are you crying? Was it a bad dream? She's like, no, it was such a good dream. We were having sex and now I'm awake. It's not happening. And for some reason that won him over and they ended up having sex again.
Because he felt so bad.
So horrible. Here's more manipulation from her.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't blame her on this one.
I know. Same.
Like, that's kind of horrible.
But also,
Finally, you're not a virgin anymore. And then it's like, nah, no more.
one and done. Gotta wait for forever.
Oh my gosh. That sucks.
I would cry. She did cry.
She did. But so then the next day,
Wait.
or after? Is it after? Right after that? When they started talking about,
Wait.
what?
Let me catch up.
Hold on. Okay, yeah. Okay, so this is the next day though,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Let me
go.
catch up.
Okay, go.
Excuse you. She doesn't want to let me talk
I
about
just wanted to get to the
my
bottom
favorite
line
part.
right there. But you go.
Okay.
No, you go. You're
Okay.
right.
So then all of that happens in a montage and I love it.
That
That's
was
also
cute.
I love that song. It's one of my favorites. But it's just so cute because like you can see that Edward's like loving her but also keeping his distance, and then you see Bella wearing lingerie to bed. The one thing is Edward's supposed to not be fazed by the lingerie, but
Oh yeah.
in the movie he's phased and like
He's like,
huffing and rolling over and like
Yes.
irritated, which I almost like better because
I know, it's
I
more
feel like-
realistic.
I was gonna say that's exactly what a man would do rather than just sitting there like,
La,
come
la,
to
la.
bed, come sleep.
Unless he's being spiteful.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, okay, come to bed.
Yeah. Right. But also like he was a virgin too, so this has to be hard for him too.
I know.
So I like how the movie did it.
I do.
The bruises also when she woke up were not horrible, but that's because they couldn't quite show them being super horrible because the rest of the movie has some pretty horrible stuff. So they didn't want to get their rating a little bit worse than it would have been. Oh, I should also. So then after she wakes up from her sleep and finally gets Edward to sleep with her again, it cuts to Jacob talking to the pack about
Oh yeah.
how are they gonna say she died? I wonder if they'll say it's a car accident. I wonder if it'll be an open casket. At least I'll get to kill Edward. And then Sam's like, no, you won't. They're fine.
Yeah.
They're good people. And he's like, what? I liked this scene because you got to see all of the imprinted couples. So you got to see Paul with Rachel, Quill with Claire, Sam and
Not Leah. Emily.
yeah. And I feel like there was another one, but I can't remember who got Jared and Kim. They don't say who is who.
Yeah.
They also don't explain that Paul got imprinted on Jacob's sister, which I kind of liked in
I know.
the book. But
I'm not there yet, but yes.
yeah, I know you're not, but
I know.
that's where the movie's at.
Fair.
Okay. Now, go
Okay.
ahead.
So now they wake up and she's kind of like, you know what? If I stay a human and I go to college,
We can keep
we can
doing
keep
this.
doing it because like practice makes perfect and we're doing pretty good. And it's also because she's like she's nervous she's gonna lose all these feelings when
Yeah.
she turns
She
to a
doesn't want
vampire.
to turn into a blood hungry,
Yeah.
not loving Edward.
Mm-hmm.
But one of my favorite lines is in the book and movie when Edward goes, so sex was the key all along. And she's like, yeah, I guess so. And he goes, I could have saved myself a lot of arguments.
Yes. True.
You could have. Should have put out, dude.
Oh my gosh. So the housekeepers come because they're going to clean up the room that they destroyed. And one of them is horrified when she sees Bella, because we find out that in her culture, she believes in like basically vampires. They don't call them vampires.
No.
And they bring beautiful women back and kill them alone. So she's like, this girl's gonna die because she has the feeling that Edward is a vampire or whatever she thinks they are.
Yep.
And so it was just like a funny, haha, that's silly thing. But Bella wakes up in the middle of the night one night and notices that Edward's gone. And he had to go hunting. And she's like, oh my gosh, we've been here for so long. Of course he has to do that. And so she made herself some chicken, but she thought it went bad because it smelled really bad. It tasted gross. And it was just like not. Ugh. So, and it made her throw up. So she went to her bag and looked for some Pepto-Bismol, I think. But she found tampons. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm late. But she's like trying to do math. And she's like, this doesn't make sense. I'd only be like a week pregnant. There's no way I'd have cravings. No way things would make me sick. All this sort of stuff. And then she looks in the mirror and then she has a freaking little baby bump, which is really freaking her out now. And this is all when Edward's back now.
I was gonna say you did not.
Yeah, I
mention him
skipped
coming
that.
back.
I skipped that part.
I wouldn't have.
She went to bed after she ate, and then she woke up and went to go get the medicine, and then he was there.
Yeah, because he was there. Or no. He got back in the middle of the night, didn't he? Because he was like, sorry.
Oh yeah.
And then she like
That's right.
is talking to him
And then
about what happened. And then she's like, oh, gross. And then she gotta go throw up again.
Yeah. And so Edward's phone rings and he's horrified because he's like, oh my gosh, she's pregnant.
Oh, she was on the couch asleep.
Oh,
And
that's
he
right.
wakes her up and it's like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yes. And so turns out it was Alice calling, and Bella asks for her to get Carlisle. And she tells Carlisle she thinks she's pregnant, and he wants to talk to Edward. And so they're chit-chatting for a little bit. And right when they're done, Edward starts booking flights and packing up, and they're leaving right now. And he's like, don't worry, I'm going to get that, or Carlisle's going to get that thing out of you. And Bella's like thinking about how much she loves this baby. And she's like,
My little nudger.
yeah, I can't believe it, because it's already kicking and all this sort of stuff. And so the house cleaner comes back, and Edward is speaking to her, trying to figure out more about this like belief, because seeing if she's ever seen a human get pregnant before. And she's like speaking a bunch of Portuguese, but then she says death in Portuguese, but Bella recognized it. And Edward's finishing loading the boat up or whatever he was doing, boat, right? And Bella saw his phone, and she called Rosalie, and she's like, you have to help me.
So this basically happens in the movie. The main difference is
She doesn't wake up in the middle of the night.
she doesn't wake up in the middle of the night. She wakes up in the morning, and she doesn't call Rosalie at the house. She calls her. She calls it Rosalie. She calls Rosalie when they get to the airport.
Yes. But other than that, they did good. Okay, now we're in Jacob's head.
Gross.
I really liked it. So this is when we get the story that Brie had just shared. Jacob's been waiting for weeks to hear what happened to Bella, and he hasn't heard anything. Paul is imprinted on his sister, so one of his least favorite pack members is at his house all the time now. And Jacob just wants to take the Cullens out. So he goes down to the beach and he hangs out with Quill. And this is when we get more of Quill and his imprinted 3-year-old Claire. And Quill is just basically the best uncle, dad, big brother, whatever you want to call it. Like, he loves this little girl so much. And Jacob says how he watched him play peekaboo for an hour and didn't even get tired of it. It's like, reminds me of Bandit from Bluey, for all you parents out there. Anyways, so Jacob asks, he's like, do you ever think about dating, until Claire's old enough to date? And Quill's like, what? I've never even thought about it. Like, no, I don't look at girls like that anymore. And he's like, have you ever thought about doing it? Since, Jacob's hung up on Bella. And Jacob answered the same way. I don't see girls like that anymore. So it's like
Quill's like, yeah, you choose that.
yes, exactly. And so that was basically the scene you got at the thing.
Before or after their sex scene and before.
Yeah. So all of a sudden we hear a howl and all the wolves have to go and meet up because it's Sam calling them all. And we find out that Edward and Bella got back about a week ago, but Bella's been so sick she's been in quarantine, so Charlie can't even go see her. So Jacob's like, all right, let's go. Obviously Treaty's been broken, she's bit, that's why she's in quarantine type of thing. And he says, let's go get him. And Sam's like, no, they're fine, we're not gonna like cause a war for this. And Jacob's pissed. He's like, fine. And so he's like, runs off and he goes back to his house to get his motorcycle. And his dad knew exactly what was going on, but he's like, by the time he rolls down to the corner store to make the phone call, I'll be there already. So they don't have a phone in their house?
Jacob took the phone cord.
Oh, I missed that part.
Jacob took the phone cord with him because he knew
His dad would call.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was like, I gotta go.
That's funny. All right. Because I was like, what?
Old school.
Yes. So he goes off to the Cullens.
The only thing that happens now is Jacob's on a motorcycle and he parks and then he gets off the motorcycle and comes in to the house and Charlie's there. And he says that he's heard from Bella, but they're going to be a few weeks late from their honeymoon. And then he goes to the Cullens. It was like...
Oh, they don't even do the... Oh, that's right, they don't.
Yeah, not yet.
They don't even do the let's attack him. He just goes straight there.
Yeah.
Okay. So Carlisle answers the door. And Jacob's realizing, he's like, well, I don't want to kill Carlisle. He's like a good person. He does help everybody. Plus, he saved Jacob's life.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, well, everyone else has got to die, though. So he's like starting to try and figure out how he's going to do this.
Better not touch him.
He's trying to figure out how he's going to do this. And he hears Bella. And so he goes in and looks at her. And she looks super sick. Rosalie's standing in between them and she's pissed. She's like, what are you doing
Get
here?
away from here, pup.
And eventually Bella stands up and is like, she looks 8 months pregnant. And it didn't take long until Jacob's like, that thing inside you is killing you. And Edward asks to speak to him outside. And Edward's trying to convince him to get that thing out of her because it's killing her. And that if she really wants kids, go have puppies together somewhere. And it just, like, it has to stop here. Like, this can't happen anymore. And Jacob's super confused because he's like, Bella never listens to me. Why are you asking me to do this?
Plus, what does this mean? Like, I get her on the weekends? Like,
yeah. And so he's like not for this plan, but
until he like, Edward keeps banking on that little like, oh, but maybe this would be good.
Yeah, Edward's really pushing for it. And so eventually he goes in and he tries. And and then Edward says, if Bella dies, you get to kill me because I will not want to live anymore. Jacob's like, oh, okay, sounds good.
Solid plan.
Yep.
So when Jacob gets there and sees that Bella is gross looking, one of the things that I made note of is that Bella's wearing the quilt that her mom gave to her in Eclipse. And I freaking love that so much. I never caught that before. Then the main difference here is Edward doesn't really say that Edward can have kids. That Jacob can have kids with Bella. He basically is just like, you need to convince her to get rid of it rather than do whatever she wants to get rid of it.
Yeah. So Edward and Jacob in the book go back inside and Edward has everyone leave. So it's just the two of them. Rosalie's pissed about that. Just the two, as in Jacob and Bella.
Rosalie hasn't left Bella's side because everyone else is trying to get her to get rid of the baby.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, everyone wants the baby out except...
Bella and Rosalie.
Uh-huh. And
Esme's
like, well, I'm not going to go against Bella's wishes. And Carlisle won't go against... Esme's wishes. And so it's a whole thing.
But Carlisle also wants to help Edward. And...
Yeah. So it's been a very stressful time at the Cullen house.
Yeah, could you imagine?
I know. So...
And we're here.
I know, we're here. I wonder where it happened at.
Right here.
In this room. So Jacob does a pretty good job of saying what Edward wanted him to say, but he never threw Edward under the bus. He even tried to be like, no, Edward didn't tell me to do this, which I thought was really nice because he could have easily been like, yes. Like, it was all Edward. Don't hate me more.
He told me to do this.
Yes. But Bella figured it out. And so they chatted for a while longer, and then he had to go back to his pack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can keep going.
Okay.
That happens.
Okay, there we go. So the pack saw his mind because we really get to dive into how the pack reads each other's minds, which was super cool. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I didn't read Midnight Sun, so I don't know if you kind of get that with Midnight Sun, don't you? Or is it different?
It's different because like in Breaking Dawn, his inner monologue, the wolf's answer, Edward doesn't get that. Edward's inner monologue is never like answered.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas in Breaking Dawn, it is because that's how the pack mind works.
Yeah, that's true. It was cool. I really enjoyed it. And so they see all of the images of how horrible Bella looks and that she's pregnant and all this sort of stuff. And Sam starts making a plan. He's like, we got to kill the Cullens because, well, we want to just kill what's ever inside Bella. But that means Bella's going to die, which means they're all going to attack us, which means we got to kill everybody. And he starts planning on who's going to fight who. And Jacob's like, you guys know this isn't okay anymore. Like, he's had a complete change of heart. And he's like, this is not good. And Sam asserts his alpha dominance. Is like, no, this is happening. Which apparently is like almost like a freaking spell on these wolves. And they have to do it anyways.
It's the gag order that we found out about in New Moon.
Yeah. I know, but it's like a spell is kind of how it works. They have to do whatever it is.
You didn't know that until this book?
No, I'm just explaining it.
Okay. I was like, girl.
I'm explaining it to you all. Basically, whatever Sam says
goes.
They have to do. Like, they don't even like get a wiggle room choice.
With certain things that he says, if he uses the alpha voice.
Yeah. And so, like, Jacob had to kind of fight it, but he realized, hey, I was supposed to be alpha. And so he asserts his alpha dominance. And Jacob's already a bigger wolf than Sam is. So he kind of like...
Because he's supposed to be the alpha.
Because he's supposed to be. So he wins. And he doesn't want to fight Sam. So he kind of just like takes off and does his own thing. And so as he's running towards the Cullens to let them know, hey, you're about to be attacked, he hears another voice.
Of course he does.
And it's Seth.
Yeah, he is.
And Seth lets him know he's joining his pack. And Jacob's like, what the? I don't have a pack. And he's like, well, clearly you do, because look, we can only hear each other. We can't hear the rest of the wolves anymore. And he's like, just go home. He's like, nah. So they're their own little two-for pack right now.
And this was when I really realized that Seth was my favorite, because Seth is doing this out of pure kindness. It's not trying to protect Bella. It's not anything like that. It's like, we just worked with the Cullens and they were nice. They're not purposely trying to be bad people right now. Like, they don't know what's going on just as much as we don't know what's going on.
Exactly.
I love him. And that all basically happens in the movie.
So eventually they get to the Cullens' house and Jacob tells Edward everything through his little pack brain. And Seth goes and does a perimeter check and he smells for vampires. And then he smells some and he phases, which freaks Jacob out because he's like, great, now I'm in charge of this kid because I'm the freaking alpha. And he just phased, which means I can't hear his thoughts anymore. And he smells vampires, which he said he thinks they're Carlisle and Esme, but what if they're not? Turns out they were, but still I thought it was like, Jacob's like, oh my gosh. I felt for
This kid.
I felt for him because I'm like, it's freaking so stressful. Children are stressful. And so when Seth is back as a wolf, he's reading Jacob's thoughts, and he sees the conversation that him and Bella had earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And Seth is like, why would you do that? Like, why would you tell her to go have like kids with you and all this sort of stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And without thinking, he let out like a ew, gross howl, which was
The signal
The
that something's
signal.
wrong.
the vampires or the werewolves are coming for them. And so Jacob's like, oh my gosh. And he has to really quickly run back to the Cullens and be like, false alarm. Everything's good. But like he starts listening and looking, and he can't see Bella, or he's starting to hear like really concerned voices and stuff. And he looks and he sees Bella in like full hospital gown, IV bags, and she's full on is dying.
Mm-hmm. So this doesn't like super happen. It basically happens, but it gets cut way down.
And they're not wolves.
Yeah, they're not wolves after the whole Jacob and Sam scene anymore until the very end.
Yeah. Okay. So
what I will say about this scene in the movie, I like when Jacob comes and tells Edward, because they do a really good job of showing like they have them very far away. And so the camera work there is just really good because they do like a wide shot so you can see how far away they are, like a wide shot from behind Jacob and then Edward. And then when they talk, the person way far away is like blurry. And then when the other person talks, it makes the person in front of us blurry and the person who's super far away in focus. And it's just really cool.
that was cool.
It was good camera work.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, Bill.
So Leah ends up joining Jacob's pack, which he's super pissed at because Leah's like his least favorite wolf there. And she's like, I just got to make sure my baby brother stays alive and stays safe. And Jacob went to go check on Bella. And Carlisle and him had a chat for a little while, and they talked about a lot of stuff. But like, we found out that people have 23 chromosomes, werewolves have 24, and vampires have 25. I found that interesting.
Yeah.
And Jacob was thinking some comment about how the baby probably wants to sink its teeth into something, which gave Edward the idea that the baby wants blood. So sure enough, Edward gets Bella a little sippy cup.
Mm-hmm.
She drinks some blood, and she's starting to feel better.
Okay, I was wondering if that's where we were in the movie, but I couldn't figure it out. So the bit with Seth going and finding Carlisle and Esme after he phases doesn't happen, because what happens after Jacob goes and tells Edward what's going on, it goes into, well, technically the extended version goes into a scene that happens with Jacob and Rosalie that will happen in the book later.
Oh yeah.
And then it goes into a montage of like the family looking up lore, stories. I can't think of the word that I really wanted.
Myths.
Oh, maybe myths. That's a good one. Myths about what could be going on with Bella. And Rob looks so good in these scenes.
Gosh.
You put a man in all black clothes, I'm here for it. He wears this black sweater in one of the montage scenes, and oof. So we get that. And then from there, we get a scene where Bella's on the couch and she's cold, and then Jacob comes and sits on her feet and puts his hand like on her stomach. And then he has a thought about the blood.
Mm-hmm. And she drinks some blood.
Yuck.
Yeah, it was pretty gross. And so Bella's like, oh, the blood smells and tastes good. And she's just drinking it. And Jake's just like, this is so nasty. And and I like how he's like thinking this. So like Edward's over there like kind of laughing, and like they're having
I love their whole relationship this book.
I know, me too. It was so good.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're sort of getting along at this point. Like,
Because they both want the same thing.
yeah, they both want that thing out of Bella to save her life. And Jacob goes to sleep outside because vampires smell so bad. And he hears a howl. And so he tears into his wolf clothes. Wolf clothes. What I'm trying to say is he tears into a wolf, which tears his clothes off. Goodness me. His wolf clothes.
He just dresses up like a wolf. Ow, ow, ow. Jake, what the hell are you doing?
So, turns out what it is some of Sam's pack trying to plead with Jacob to come home and send Seth and Leah home too. And he's like, I've told them to go. Like, that's on them now. But there's 2 alphas now, so I can't come home. Like, it's just not gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
And they ended up leaving each other, and Seth was like, it was very interesting that Embry wasn't there because Jacob was wondering why Embry wasn't there, because usually Embry's always the one to go, but Quill was there instead. And it turns out it's because Quill is already imprinted on Claire, so he can't leave Sam's pack. But Embry hasn't imprinted, so he could easily leave. And, they're all best friends with Jacob, so he would want to do that.
Mm-hmm. This scene does not quite happen in the movie, and what happens in place of it happens later. So,
okay, so I'll keep going.
Yep.
Okay. So Jacob went back to the clones, and he noticed that they left clothes out for him. And he assumed they were Emmett's clothes because they're huge. And so he went to the woods and he got dressed, and he came back and he didn't see anyone anywhere, but he started hearing Bella scream. And it turns out the thing inside of her is breaking her ribs. And Edward went down to talk with Jacob and let him know that he heard the whole conversation that him and Jared had. And
Jacob's like, what? We were far away. How did you hear that?
And he's like, I'm beginning to hear you a little bit better the more I know you.
Plus, when you're not a wolf, I can hear you way better.
Yeah. That's right, because Jacob had to unphase so that they could talk to each other because they can't hear each other anymore.
Unphased?
Yeah.
I would have just said phased back.
Let me guess. So he shared that Esme feels awful because they're homeless now, was something that he shared. And she's like, please, or Edward says that she's opened the house to whatever they need, food, sleeping, clothes, anything. And that Jacob really needs to sell it because they all know that Leah hates them. And so Jacob ends up passing out, and he wakes up and Seth's arm is around Bella, which pissed Jacob off. And this is when Esme brought out clothes for Leah, and she had breakfast
and
for
the
everybody.
reason Jacob woke up is because someone put a pillow under his head.
Oh yeah, they were trying to be nice and give him comfy, but it smelled like vampire and it was gross.
Yeah, and it woke him up, and so he was like, oh.
That's funny.
Yeah, I think that's so sweet. Yeah, baby breaks Bella's ribs. That happens, but this happens in a montage like scene, so we don't quite get as much details.
Yeah,
but I'm okay with the details they leave out.
I know, it wasn't really needed details.
Yeah,
I think they did fine. Jacob finds out from Sam that he finds out from Sam. When did they talk? Seth. That's supposed to say Seth. Okay. Jacob finds out from Seth.
I was like, what in the hell? Did they throw in a new scene I don't have in the book?
That Bella has been talking to her parents on the phone.
Oh, yeah.
Which Jacob's like, what? Like, I thought this was all like leading up to her dying.
Why is she still talking?
Yeah, he was getting frustrated. So he also shares, Jacob, Bella wants you to go keep her warm. And he's like, oh, okay. And so he heads back to the house. And Esme asks Rosalie to go get him some food because he's so hungry. And she's like, you hear him clanging around, and she brings it back, and it's in like this perfect dog dish. And she scratched the word Fido on the side of it. And Jacob was really impressed. He was like, oh, that was pretty quick and pretty good for a blondie. And he keeps telling her dumb blonde jokes. And it's like, my favorite is when he's like, has she heard this one? Like, he looks at Edward like, has she heard it? And he's like, no. So Jacob, Rosalie, and Edward are all sitting together, and Jacob shares his thoughts about how it's dumb they're giving Charlie hope. And Edward agrees. He's like, yeah. But once again, Bella gets her way.
Bella's too freaking stubborn.
Yes. And Edward calculated that Bella's due date is gonna be in about 4 days.
Well, Edward and Carlisle.
Yes. And because the baby grows, like 2 weeks a day,
fast,
something like that.
I think
A week a day or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, Rosalie said some snide comment that pissed Edward off. I don't remember what it was.
Oh, you didn't talk about Alice
What about Alice?
sitting next to him.
Oh, Alice is sitting there too.
So before Jacob fell asleep,
Wow. Okay, a long time ago.
Alice came and sat down next to him and was like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
hope you don't mind. It's just that when I sit next to you, visions kind of turn off for me. And that's important because this is a extended scene
Yes.
that happens after Bella drinks blood.
Yes, because Bree's fancy and she has the extended cut version.
Mm-hmm. It's not really a snide comment.
Oh, what did she say?
Edward's... What are they talking about? They're basically Jacob and Edward are talking about, is Bella going to survive this?
Oh, yeah.
And Edward's like, from all the stories we found, there were no survivors. And she's like, well, duh, there were no survivors. Like modern medicine back then, even mothers weren't surviving. And then she called the fetus the baby. And so that pissed them both off. And Edward was going to go after her.
But instead...
Oh, they're upset because the only thing that matters to her is the baby and not Bella's life.
Yeah. But instead of Edward going after her,
Jacob goes, allow me.
Yes, and chucks his dog dish at her head. And,
This was my favorite scene.
Vampire and like it's gonna clunk off her head.
Mm-hmm.
But watching it, where it literally she didn't even move, it just banged off her head. But it's like a huge bang. Yeah. I'm just like, oh my gosh. But she just goes, you got food in my hair. And I was like, and then Jacob just can't stop laughing. It was just so fun. I just like.
This was the extended scene that came forever ago.
Yes.
After the montage or before the montage.
But I just kind of can imagine like everyone just hanging out. It's going to be really morbid, but it's kind of it reminded me of like when right after Cam died and all the siblings are over and we're just like hanging out chatting.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you know, someone will do something like that and like people are calling each other like Blondie, like names like that and just like kind of lighthearted goofing around. But there's such a tension in the air.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I thought. It was just so fun.
It's one of my favorite scenes in the book and movie.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to watch the extended or watch the deleted scenes because that's a deleted scene, guys.
Yeah, there you go. And so the wolves went out hunting because Leah refuses to eat from the Cullens. And so they went out hunting. And Seth and Leah were talking about how, Jacob, you need to stay in Alpha because we want to stay in this pack. We don't like Sam's pack. So we find out that Leah says she understands where Bella's coming from and Rosalie. And this pisses Jacob off. He's like, what are you talking about? Because now that she's a wolf and she stopped aging, she can't have babies either.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, and I remember that first time she missed her period and it was like, that's all the wolf pack heard, blah, blah, blah. I was like, chill out, dude. I would be doing it too.
Yeah.
And then Leah chatted about how life would be easier if both of them just imprinted. And Jacob's like, no, imprinting would suck. I'd hate to be imprinted.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you have no control. You just like, it just sounds like the worst. And Leah, another reason she wanted to leave the pack, Sam's pack, was because she was tired of watching Sam with Emily the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. And that's why Jacob kind of was like, okay, you can stay, because he was understanding from that point.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, as they were out hunting, they patrolled the area to make sure that Sam's crew isn't out and about, and they deemed it fine. So they sent the vampires, except for Edward and Rosalie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just those two?
Yeah. Well, they wouldn't go.
Right. Out hunting. And all of a sudden, Edward hears the baby's thoughts. And now Edward's in love with the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And Jacob's
That's
like, and Jacob finally is like, that's it. I'm alone now. Like, I'm the only one who does not like this baby anymore.
Straw that broke the camel's back.
Yep. And it was really sweet because Edward stands up and he just gives him car keys. He's like, go get out of here now.
You're upset.
Yeah. Like, it was just a sweet, like, he knew that we were in this together and now he's all alone type of thing. I thought it was sweet of Edward.
Mm-hmm. Edward's always sweet. Thank you very much.
There we go. Breaking Bella's car so she can't go see her best friend.
Hell yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, super sweet.
Very sweet. He's being protective. Okay. God. So, in the movie, Bella's on the phone with Charlie and she's talking to him and she's telling him that it's going to be a while because she now has to go to Sweden to go to one of their hospitals. And he's like, what? No, I'm coming to see you. And she's like, no, please don't. You should remember me healthy. And Edward overhears and then comes in and he's like, I'm sorry. I've left you alone in like all of this. Like, I'm upset at you, but I shouldn't also be that like this with you. And she's like, oh, it's okay. And like they have a sweet moment. And then Edward hears the baby's thoughts and it's just them. And I like that it's just them because they have a sweet little family moment.
It was cute.
And then Jacob comes up the stairs and he sees them on the couch all cuddled. And like Edward's over at the baby belly giving it kisses. And he's like, ugh. But then Carlisle comes down and it's like, we need to talk. Because he's like, we need to get more blood for Bella and we need to hunt because we're going to have to deliver this baby soon and I need to be ready. So then Jacob's like, okay, I'll have to make a diversion for you guys to do this. So then he goes and has the conversation now with Sam's pack. And so it's basically him being like, take these two. I'm going to be the one that kills the thing. They need to go home. And they're like, what? Leah and Seth. And basically Jacob's just creating a ruse so that Carlisle, Esme, and Emmett can go hunt. They still
have confrontation, meet up, run into the werewolves.
I want to say intercept, but it's not intercept. They run into, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever you said before.
Okay.
They all worked. They run into other wolves and get into a little tiff, but then they make it. And then the scene that Allie's about to say doesn't happen in the movie.
All right. So, in the book, Jacob takes this super fast car.
I have one more note for this. Who knows when I wrote this because I don't know when I wrote this, but it's Rob's so hot with underlines that are so hot.
It was when he was yelling.
Right. Because the baby breaks Bella's ribs and they're in the the doctor's room, Carlisle's room that he set up as the doctor's office. And he yells at her because he's like, you've given me no choice. Bella, we're supposed to be partners in this, but you've left me alone. I don't choose that. Let me quote the movie to you guys.
Yes. Okay, so now Jacob drives in his super fast car that Edward let him borrow all the way to some park in Seattle or somewhere. And he's like, I'm just going to go and try and imprint because that must be like, it must be better than this
It was
pain.
Tacoma.
Was it Tacoma?
Yes.
Oh, my hometown.
Oh my God.
Don't know how I messed that up.
In Seattle.
Tacoma. I'm going to imagine what park he went to. Wright Park.
Oh, I was going Reston. Because I envisioned him. Oh, but it was a park.
Oh, but Point Defiance.
Oh, yep. Okay. There we go.
Everyone not in Washington has no idea what we're talking about right now. Okay.
Like, shut up, guys.
So Jacob drove to Point Defiance. and so he's trying to imprint on all these girls. Man, now I want to reread this chapter knowing that that's where he is. I definitely was thinking Seattle for some reason. And so...
Where is there a park in Seattle?
I don't know. There's one that decorates
gas
Christmas.
work. Oh, I don't
There's
know.
one that starts with a D. Denny Park. Is that what it's called? I don't know.
Denny is a road.
I know. I thought it was Park 2.
I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
You
Anyways,
have kids. You go to parks more than I do.
I mean, I go to playgrounds. I don't go to parks where adults hang out.
What adult is hanging out in a park?
Like Central Park. It's like or
true.
Wright Park. It's just like a walking trail park.
Okay, true.
Okay. Well, he's at Point Reston now, so or no.
Point defiance.
Point defiance. So he's legit trying to imprint. He's like, and I'm
staring
not,
at people.
He's staring at people. He's like, he makes a note of a physical feature of every girl he looks at, so he knows that he tried. And then he's like, this is the stupidest thing ever. Like, why would the girl I'm going to imprint with randomly be at this park at the same time? And so he's like, this is so dumb. And so he goes to leave. He would have
felt a pull.
He goes to leave. But then there's this girl who starts talking about the awesome car he had. Like, she's into cars.
Dude, I'm like, you had a shot to like go on a date with a cool chick, and you're like, no.
I know.
I gotta go back to this dying girl.
Into cars and like super pretty. And he was like so mad he didn't imprint with her. Well, that's why. He's like, what's the point? If I'm not going to imprint with her, then I'm not going to end up with her in the end anyways.
But what if he never imprinted? He doesn't know.
Except that almost everyone in the pack is imprinting.
Yeah, but he doesn't know why.
I know. So
that wasn't a thing before.
Oh, well. You would think, though, as the alpha, you would imprint.
No.
Maybe he does.
Obviously.
And so
I'm like, that's like me telling people that I'm not going to date people because I don't feel like they're my soulmate. Because I've tried telling that to people. And they're like, well, how do you know? You need to date these guys.
Yeah, but that is so different than imprinting. Imprinting, you know immediately.
I think that with soulmates, you do know immediately. I believe in love at first sight.
I definitely don't.
I do.
I thought Cameron was a pothead, and I wanted nothing to do with him. Anyways. So, as Bruce said, that did not happen in the movie. Jacob goes back to the Cullens' house, and Edward looks pissed. And we find out that Leah came over and yelled at Bella, which made her cry. Poor Bella. And he also shared that Jacob's the only one that can give him permission to break the treaty because heritage-wise, it's Jacob's line that created the treaty. And so, which we saw the treaty, you guys.
Here at the house.
We did. We took a picture of it. It's in Carlisle's office.
It's cute.
Here in Forks.
Edward's signature on it.
It's very cute. And so, he's like, I just need to think about it. Like, imagining Bella as a vampire was not appealing to him. But he thinks about it for a little bit as Bella's like waddling, trying to get up to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And then finally he just like thinks, yes, fine, you can save her life. And right in that moment, Bella accidentally drops the cup of blood and she goes to catch it. And there's a rip. And she's screaming in pain. And it turns out the placenta tore from her body and the baby is suffocating and dying.
Shit's about to get real.
Yep.
In the movie, after Jacob has just tricked the wolves and gotten everyone to go hunt, he comes back and Bella's standing up with Rosalie and Alice and tells them the baby's names. So we find out that she wanted to name it Edward and Jacob.
Yeah, that's so stupid.
I'm mad we didn't.
In the book, she calls him EJ.
Yeah.
And eventually we find out it was gonna be Jacob.
Yeah, because she tells Edward that she wants to name him Edward. Doesn't tell him what the J is for because it's when Edward's hearing the baby. He's like, what's the J stand for? What?
Yeah.
Then here's baby's thoughts. And then we hear Renesmee for the first time. And Jacob's like sitting there like, what? And Edward's like, it's beautiful. It's creative. It fits the situation.
Yes.
And then Bella's cup. She goes to get her cup, but she accidentally like knocks it out of Rosalie's hand and it's like, oop. And she goes to pick it up and
Rip.
it happens.
And so now everything's like go, 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 go. So everyone races Bella upstairs to the hospital room they have set up. And Beba is coming. So
I thought you were reading Bella. And I was like, you just said baby.
Beba. Well, I was trying to say baby normal, but it came out weird. So then I had to have that whole weird sentence. So thanks for calling me out on that. And I was trying to be smooth and sly about it.
What's funny because you were probably trying to say Bella.
No, I definitely was trying to say baby.
Oh.
Okay, so the rip, as I said, was the placenta detaching, and she's yelling, "Get it out!" because they're saying he's suffocating. Or because at this point too, Bella thinks it's a boy because she keeps having dreams of a little boy, and so she's like, "Get him out! Get him out!" And Edward wants to wait for the morphine to kick in because he's about to friggin' cut her stomach open. She's like, "No, get him out now!"
I almost said something stupid. I was like, wouldn't morphine be bad for a baby? I was like, dude, it's a vampire baby. Like,
right, exactly. And so Edward cuts her stomach open, and Rosalie needed to be freaking tackled. And so Jacob basically almost beats the crap out of her, tackles her out of the room. But he was like, she seemed to want to be tackled because she didn't fight back at all. And Jacob came back, and he was totally focused on Bella. Okay, was Alice there?
yeah.
Okay, Alice came back.
Yeah.
That's right. 'cause
Alice didn't go. No, she came back.
She came back because Carlisle and Esme had to leave.
They had to go again to get more blood.
To get more blood.
for
Okay,
Bella.
yes. Because Alice escorted Rosalie out, and that's why Jacob got to go back to Bella. And Bella's just focusing on... Jacob's focusing on Bella's face this whole time. And Edward finally chomps and bites the baby out.
Oh, yeah.
And here's Renesmee. It's a girl. And Bella's like, she gets a little snuggle with her, and Renesmee bites her, and then her heart stops. Not related to the bite.
Just because she's had too much.
Yes. And so Renesmee is handed off to Rosalie.
So good.
And Jacob's just doing
CPR.
CPR. And Edward shoots his venom into her heart to save her life. And they just keep doing CPR. And Jacob.
I want to know how he got his venom into
That's what I've been
the
wondering.
needle. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I can't even come up with a story for you.
Okay. And so,
I'm like, did he just spit into it? Did he just...
shooting his spit in her heart. And so, but Edward,
It's the magic spit from my favorite.
So Jacob, just being a wolf, can hear heartbeats just like the vampires can, right? And so he hears her heartbeat is not coming back. And so he's having all these negative thoughts. And so Edward's like, get out of here then, just go. And he takes over CPR. And when Bella died, Jacob stopped feeling a pull towards her. So he's like, obviously she's dead.
She's dead. She's not there.
Yeah, but he kept feeling a pull to like leave. So he's like, fine, I went to go leave. And then he was starting to feel a pull towards Renesmee.
Because he
He's
wanted to
like,
go kill her.
That just means, yeah, I got to finish this off. Oh, and he told Edward he's not going to kill him anymore because he has to live with this because it's all his fault.
That was in the movie and not in the book.
It wasn't in the book?
No.
I swear it was in the book.
No.
Oh,
No.
crazy. Did he think
What's
it?
funny is that's my no.
He didn't think it at all?
No. I know.
I think he did when he was downstairs. He was like, there's no way. I know. Okay. I don't think he said it to Edward, but like when he's sitting down right before he goes to kill her. I don't know. I'm probably wrong.
No, because
I thought it was like he deserves to live with this.
no, because his plan is to go and kill Renesmee. And he's like, well, here's all the family that's still there that's going to attack me. I can probably kill Edward because he's too busy with Bella.
Oh, okay.
Rosalie's going to be a fight. Emmett's going to be horrible.
Oh.
Jasper and Alice I could probably take.
Well, I like the...
But then he says, I don't think I have it in me to kill Edward because he thinks that the fight against Rosalie, Jasper, and Alice are going to be too much before he gets to Edward.
Oh, okay.
So it's not
Weird. I like it better that he's like, screw you. You did this.
Oh, no, I don't like that.
I mean, I get it. So.
That's hilarious. That was my one note for the movies
There.
part. Guys, so far everything's been the same except for what Allie just tried to tell you was in the book.
Okay. And so he goes downstairs and he goes to kill
Renesmee.
Renesmee, and he locks eyes with her and he imprints on her.
Mm-hmm.
Pow, 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 pow.
Yeah.
And Bree just said it's all the same.
Yeah, except for after he imprints, we go back to we go to the wolves fighting with everyone who's now come back.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're all no. Edward's with Bella and he's trying to bring her back, but then he hears the wolves coming. So he calls for people to come down so that they can go and fight. So then he goes downstairs to make sure like Rosalie stay over here with the baby. But then he hears that Jacob has imprinted. So as he's on his way out, he stops and then slowly turns. This is an extended scene, guys. Slowly turns and he breaks Jacob's arm and throws him across the room. And then he goes back outside. And then it's an extended part of the movie too, because then Jacob, after we see a little bit of the action between the wolves and the vampires, he gets up and he pops his arm into place. Mm-hmm. And then he goes back out and it's like, guys, stop.
I imprinted.
You kill her, you kill me.
And then we learn that wolf treaty or wolf law says that you can't hurt someone that someone's imprinted on.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, it's pretty fair law.
Yeah, because then you would be killing that person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then we have one last chapter for part 1, which is Bella's point of view, starting from when she drops the cup of blood.
Yeah.
And it just goes into detail about how she lays in like this fire, feeling like it's worse than any pain she's ever gone through for like days. And
what I like is that to her, there's no like, it doesn't go from birth to, oh, I got bit. It's just all one pain. And then like after a while of her being in pain from the venom, she's like, oh shit, I'm getting turned into a vampire.
Right. And then she wakes up and she's very thirsty.
Very, very thirsty. And the movie ends with her eyes opening red.
That's it.
I also really like that in the movie. When she's just laying there, they show all the memories of like Bella and Edward's first few days together.
So cute.
And then it goes back to like when she was a baby. Yeah.
Yes. That's so cute. I will say that this movie did a great job of knowing the perfect halfway mark. Like not only was it seriously halfway.
Yeah.
But it was like they both feel like different stories.
Yeah. Yep.
So it was very good.
Yeah. I love this movie so much. I love this book so much.
All right. So IMDb cast 60 people.
Okay. We've got Peter Facinelli as Dr. Carlisle Cullen.
Yeah.
I love him as Carlisle.
I think he's really good.
Yeah, he's perfect.
I think the only difference is the book describes him as his like late 20s.
Yeah.
And he definitely does not look late 20s.
Yeah.
But other than that.
I like him. Yeah. We have Elizabeth Reeser as Esme Cullen.
Yes. She's cute.
Yeah, I love her. She's sweet. All right. We've got Julia Jones as Leah.
Yeah, she was fine.
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah.
Oh, I also forgot there's an end credit scene where the Cullens have sent the Volturi message being like, Bella's a vampire.
Yep. Okay.
All right. That was it.
Yeah. All right. Is the theme of the book and the movie the same?
Yes. Thank you, Bill.
Yes, it was so good. Do the characters stay
Do they stay sane?
Do they
I
stay
don't know.
true to how they are written?
Finally.
Yes, they did.
Finally, we're back, I should say.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you prefer, book or movie?
I think I gotta go movie.
Just for that sex scene?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I was thinking about it because now when I get stuck, I always come back to if someone were to hand it to you and say, you have the time to do these, which would you do? Because the movie just does the book justice. I think I would go for the movie, be like, cool, this will be quicker. But then earlier today when I was thinking about it, I was like, but I love reading it too much. But then the sex scene.
I'm going to go for book because I really liked...
The book's great.
I liked all the wolf point of view and everything.
Like, honestly, book was what I thought I was going to pick up until...
That sex scene.
And then... No, you know what did it?
Rob yelling.
Oh, that too. No, you should know what did it. I brought it up like 4 times after you told me.
It's his scene.
Yeah.
His backstory scene.
His backstory scene and the fact that he's the one that
wanted it. I'm so glad I could make your night by that fun fact. You're welcome. All right, you guys. Sneak peek.
We've got a fun Wednesday mini-sode for you.
We do. Yeah. And then Breaking Dawn Part 2 next week.
Part 2.
It will be done. And then we'll have our Twilight bonus episode to stay tuned and listen for.
How sad.
Yeah.
All right.
Okie dokie, you guys. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thanks for sticking with us. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, we would greatly appreciate it if you subscribed, rate, and reviewed.
You can also follow us on Facebook at Offscript, Instagram at Offscript Podcast 21, and TikTok at Offscript_pod.
Shoutouts to Madam Ashen Creations for our adorable logo art.
And Adam Daniel for our incredible theme song.
And to Creative Cinephile Productions for producing our podcast. See you next time.